Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Satarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Taruvasya Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnamebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Hare Krishna. I beg forgiveness for not being able to present for last 2 Sundays. My health was not good, especially in the morning. It is really bad. Yes, I don't know. I remember what we were discussing. I don't know how many of you remember. So let's do a little bit of revision. Yeah, anyone would volunteer to make every one of us remember what we were discussing, at least the name of the chapter.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandrat Pranam.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
On 5th March, Prabhuji, we studied about the Daksha and the biggest lesson that you should not look at or Vaishnava materialistically. The way he got annoyed with the Lord Shiva.
Okay.
The another lesson what we learned that whatever you put in, it comes out. So actually, whenever we are in a particular situation, it's all because of contamination in our heart. That going through Prabhuji.
Yeah.
4.2.8 and 4.2.9. That's what we studied.
Yeah, correct. So we were discussing about this story of Daksha seeing Lord Shiva on a very, very material way, though Lord Shiva is actually Charachara Guru. And Parikshit Maharaj being shocked how Daksha, who is father-in-law, who is supposed to be very, very loving and caring towards his son-in-law, is having so much of enmity towards Lord Shiva, who is his son-in-law. And on top of it, Lord Shiva is not just an ordinary son-in-law. Lord Shiva is the expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is Sambhu Tattva. He is not even Jiva Atma. How come someone be inimical to Lord Shiva, who is always peaceful, and his name is Shiva, auspicious, creating auspiciousness in the lives of everyone. And that's how we saw how we should never see Vaishnavas on a very material platform. So then it went on. We saw how Daksha was criticizing Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva has monkey eyes. He stays in crematorium. You remember all those things Daksha was speaking. And finally, the climax of Daksha's anger was that Daksha took water in his hand and he chanted a curse. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the curse became a blessing, and the curse was that Lord Shiva will not be allowed to take part in the oblations offered for the demigods. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that how Daksha liberated Lord Shiva from the inauspicious situation, most inauspicious situation, to take oblations which are offered for the demigods. You see, even though the worship of the demigods is mentioned in the Vedas, but the worship of the demigods are very much done in a contaminated mood. It's done in a mood of doing business. You understand business? So it's like give and take. And if I give you all these things, then you'll give me a position in heavenly planet. And this is to some extent good, because these are all mode of goodness worshippers. There are some worshippers like Bhasmasur and all, though they worship in a very, very dangerous mode of ignorance. And they do a lot of yajnas and everything to get a lot of powers. And with the powers, they exploit others. So the worship of the demigods is generally considered contaminating if the worshippers, actually the worship is not contaminated, the worshipper is contaminated. Let me be very clear. Because the demigods are also devotees of Krishna, and if we respect them, worship them as devotees of Krishna, begging from them devotional service for Krishna, then that worship is pure. But to worship the demigods with a purpose to get something from them is contaminated with this desire. And Lord Shiva was liberated from taking part of these contaminated business transactions. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Daksha's curse became a blessing for Lord Shiva. It became auspiciousness. So in this way, someone who tries to harm a devotee, ultimately it becomes a blessing for the devotee. Like I remember specifically in this regard, there was when Srila Prabhupada was preaching in America, in 3, 4, 5 years, it was extremely successful. So many people becoming devotees, and it was extremely successful. And there was one case against the ISKCON devotees, that was that Srila Prabhupada and the ISKCON devotees are brainwashing people. And it was a serious case. It is a court case that they are hypnotizing people, brainwashing them, and trying to make them followers. This is a dangerous cult. We must abolish and throw them out of America. That was the case against Srila Prabhupada and all the ISKCON devotees. And all the devotees were very, very afraid, very, very afraid, because it was a very severe, serious allegations, and devotees were being taken away from the temples, and they were put under a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist will say, "Who are you?" The devotees say, "I am spirit soul." The psychiatrist will say, "Just see, it's complete madness, complete madness." What you are doing and why you are doing? I want to go to Golok Vrindavan. Just see, this is complete madness. Where is Golok Vrindavan? It's up in the sky. It is not visible to everyone. It is beyond this material universe. So the psychiatrist would think that I will get mad if I associate with them more. And in this way, there was all the devotees were being tortured, and they were given some medicines to make them come out of the hypnotism or the whatever is going on in their lives. And it was a very, very troublesome period for ISKCON devotees in 1976 or 75, around that time. I don't remember the exact time. And Srila Prabhupada, who was moving around the world, he heard this news and devotees were very concerned. And Srila Prabhupada said, it is good that we are brainwashing movement. The brains were already completely filled with stool and we were washing them. They should be grateful to us. I don't know why they are making such an allegations upon us. And devotees were trying to understand Srila Prabhupada, try to help him understand that how serious it is. And Srila Prabhupada took it very lightly and said, Ki whenever you go to the court, make the judges read our books, then he will understand what we are trying to present. And finally, the judges read the books, and the Hare Krishna movement was established as a bona fide religion for the service of humanity in America and in the world. Hare Krishna. So, in this way, an inauspicious situation was created by some envious people, but that inauspicious situation was converted to an auspicious situation because the inauspicious situation was directed towards devotees, and Krishna always protects the devotees. So though Daksha wanted to offend Lord Shiva, disturb Lord Shiva, but by blessings of Krishna, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Lord Shiva, it became an auspicious situation for Lord Shiva. And today's verse, we will see what happens next. We'll take this verse first. Okay. This is text 19 of the same chapter. So all of you can repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All of you repeat after me. Nisidhyamana sasadasya mukhe. Daksho giritraya visrijya sapam. Tasmad vinishkramya vibruddhamanyo. Jagama kauravya nijam niketanam. Nisidhyamana sasadasya mukhe. Daksho giritraya visrijya sapam. Tasmad viniskramya vibruddhamanyo. Jagama kauravya nijam niketanam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Maitreya continued. My dear Vidura, in spite of the request of all the members of the sacrificial assembly, Daksha, in great anger, cursed Lord Shiva and then left the assembly and went back to his home. Purport. Anger is so detrimental that even a personality like Daksha, out of anger, left the arena where Brahma was presiding and all the great sages and pious and saintly persons were assembled. All of them requested him not to leave, but infuriated, he left, thinking that the auspicious place was not fit for him. Puffed up by his exalted position, he thought that no one was greater than him in argument. It appears that all the members of the assembly, including Lord Brahma, requested him not to be angry and leave their company, but in spite of all these requests, he left. That is the effect of cruel anger. In Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is advised that one who desires to make tangible advancement in spiritual consciousness must avoid these three things: lust, anger, and mode of passion. Actually, we can see that lust, anger, and passion make a man crazy, even though he be as great as Daksha. The very name Daksha suggests that he was expert in material activities, but still, because of his aversion towards such a saintly personality as Shiva, he was attacked by these three enemies: anger, lust, and passion. Lord Chaitanya therefore advised that one be very careful not to offend Vaishnavas. He compared offenses towards Vaishnavas to be a mad elephant offense. As a mad elephant can do anything horrible, so a person, when offends a Vaishnava, he can perform any abominable action. Hare Krishna. So here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining how it is so very, it's a danger. We should consider it's a danger signal to offend a Vaishnava, and to an offend a Vaishnava of like Lord Shiva. And as it is mentioned, we had already described again and again that offenses to Vaishnavas are considered mad elephant offense. Hati matta, the mad elephant offense, in the sense that when an elephant becomes mad, he completely tramples and disturbs and destroys everything. So, so exactly in the same way, our Bhakti Lata, which is just a lata, can be completely trampled by the elephant-like Vaishnava Parad. Now here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning a very important principle about anger. And we must understand that how Daksha, he was being requested by all these big personalities, but because of his position, that of material position, which he considered so important, he dared to not listen to such great personalities. So this is the root cause of offenses, is to consider oneself very great because of one's material success, material position, and whatever we see in this world. Actually, these material positions, material abilities, material success have nothing to do, give or take in devotional service. Sometimes we may be very, very materially successful, and the Vaishnavas or the devotees or maybe our spiritual master may not be that materially qualified. But we must understand, for practice of devotional service, this material success, material abilities have no place at all. Like recently we were talking with devotees, and we were discussing how through material abilities and material success, even if while trying to preach, while trying to attract some people towards Krishna consciousness movement, we may be able to attract some people temporarily. But if we really want to ensure that the people who are attracted to the Hare Krishna movement, they stay on in our movement and they go back to Godhead, we need spiritual substance. We cannot just rely on presentation skills. We just cannot rely on trying to somehow cover up the message and try to speak everything is good in this material world, and what people will think if everything is not told that it is good. we need to speak the truth and we need to have the spiritual substance. So these material abilities have some place, some role in Krishna consciousness, but they have a very minimal role. Like Daksha is considered expert in serving. He was serving actually Lord Vishnu. He was not a demon. Understand, Daksha is not a demon. Daksha is, all of us have some Daksha qualities in us. Daksha means that, try to write down the definition of Daksha so that we will discuss about this definition. Daksha means to have the conviction that I can serve Krishna the best because I have certain material abilities. This is meaning of Daksha. To have a conviction that I can serve Lord Vishnu or Krishna the best because I have got some material abilities. If you have material abilities, you definitely can serve Krishna very nicely. But to have a conviction that because I have this material abilities, that's why I can serve Krishna, that is the mentality of Daksha. Because for serving Krishna, it is not the material abilities that attract the heart of Krishna. Someone may not be knowing cooking at all, and he may maximum make aloo chokha, and with that make some rice, and that aloo chokha may have a lot of salt. You know aloo chokha, mashed potato. It is very, very famous in Bengal. You just boil the potato and mash it and put little salt and put water in the rice. That becomes rice water, which is called panta bhat in Bengali or pakhala in Odia. Bengal and Odisha, the cuisine is almost the same. And take some of mashed potato and you eat it. Even if someone offers only mashed potato because he doesn't know cooking, and some rice, put it in water and put little bit of salt nearby to Krishna. And another person offers lasagna, pizza, pasta with white sauce and Manchurian, and I don't know what all other items, all of you, momo, all this special, very, very special international cuisine where it's really special, really special. If someone offers all these special items, he knows it perfectly, beautifully articulated that, but he has no devotion, then Krishna would like to eat the panta bhat, the rice water and the mashed potato. So we need to understand that to please Krishna, we do not need material abilities. But if we have material abilities, we will save ourselves from not getting degraded by the material abilities if we utilize it in Krishna's service. Like one person came, this is way back, when I was in Kharagpur, one boy was, you see, I did my B.Tech, and after B.Tech I was asked by Radheshyam Prabhu to do M.Tech also, Masters. No one does, after 4 years of B.Tech, no one does. I don't know if those of you know from being in engineering, after a 4 year of B.Tech from such a college, everyone goes abroad, and that too, if someone is having good CG, no one does a master's in the same college. Anyway, I was asked by Radheshyam Prabhu to do some preaching there. So I stayed back. So when I was in first year of masters, so my 1 year junior, one devotee, he um, he actually got a job, and he he would go now do the job. He left the institute. So before leaving, we had a center there. So he came to meet me, and he said with little bit of he said ki actually I am going and getting job, Prabhuji, and I would give some donations, and by that donation this center will run very nicely. So I was little I was happy that he would give some donations because of doing some job and everything. But I said to him, you look, you give donations, that is good. But to give donations thinking that your donations runs the temple, it is very dangerous. Because your donation doesn't run the temple. You do not favor the temple by giving donations. Rather, temple favors you by accepting your donations and safeguarding you from using that money in the service of material energy. So, Daksha mentality means that because I have some material ability, because I have some material skills, because I have some material resources, that is why I am able to do service to Krishna, and Krishna is pleased because I am using all this material service in service of Krishna. Rather, we must understand that by material skills, material resources, we cannot please Krishna. But if Krishna's devotees, Krishna accepts our material resources, it is not because he is pleased, it is because he wants to save us from becoming degraded by those material resources. I don't know how many of you understood what I mean to say. Yes, Pavan Krishna Prabhu, can you just explain what I am meaning to say?
That was that we should serve Krishna, but we should not think that we should serve Krishna using our material abilities. But we should not think that because of those material abilities which we are using in service, that is the reason why service is happening. Otherwise, service would not happen. Rather, it is Krishna who is favoring us by accepting. Krishna and devotees, they are favoring us by accepting this.
Yeah. So Daksha was thinking that I have so much of material abilities, and that is why I am serving Krishna the best. And Lord Shiva, just see, he is a poor person. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have a home. Just see, in my home there is elaborate deity worship. I have deities in my home. In my home I offer 56 items every day to Sri Radharaman, to God Nitai, to Jagannath. And this Lord Shiva doesn't have a home. He doesn't have money to offer bhoga to his home deities. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a home deities. And there is arti in my home. There is all these things I do in my home because I have a big home and a big bungalow. One entire separate section I have reserved for the Lord, for the service of the Lord. Just see how great I am. And this person, poor fellow beggar, is sitting on the street and chanting holy names. He doesn't have, he doesn't know how to serve Krishna. He cannot serve Krishna. So this mentality, That is why, this is the reason scriptures sometimes consider deity worship as a service done by the neophyte devotees. Hare Krishna. Because the problem with deity worship is that we can land up into a material comparison while performing devotional service. Let's compare the activity of doing service to Krishna through chanting and doing service to Krishna through deity worship. One is chanting Hare Krishna. Now, one is chanting Hare Krishna. So, what type of comparison you can do? Practically nothing. Oh, he is chanting Hare Krishna, I am chanting Hare Krishna. But as far as deity worship is concerned, oh, I am doing deity worship, I have a big home, and he is doing deity worship in a small closet, in the cupboard. But I am doing deity worship, I have a big temple. He offers little bit of rice and dal and sabji, but I offer 56 items. So this deity worship is all glorious. But in a neophyte stage, sometimes we see the worship of the deities in very much material terms. And that is why sometimes the deity worship is considered a service done by the neophytes to help them advance and understand that Lord is not pleased by elaborate deity worship. Lord is pleased by the pure devotion. Even if we have nothing like Lord Shiva, and we are a pauper number one. Lord Shiva is number one, so we cannot be number one pauper. We can only be number two. Even if we are number two pauper, because the number one pauper in this material universe is reserved position by Lord Shiva. So we don't want to take away his position. Even if we have number two pauper, number three pauper, number four pauper, or whatever pauper, Lord Krishna is attracted by the devotion in our heart, not by the elaborate worship and all those things we do. So that is why we should not be too much worried about deity worship, how elaborately we are doing. But we find in ISKCON we do so much of elaborate deity worship. We spend so much of lakhs and lakhs of rupees for serving the deities. So deity worship is done as a move to give the best service to Krishna. But we should not think that if we do not have the facilities to give that type of elaborate worship to Krishna, then Krishna is not pleased with us. That's the problem. I hope all of you got the point. If you have resources and you are not using it in Krishna's service, then it is dangerous. But if you do not have anything and you start comparing with others, just see, oh, he is so fortunate, he is serving Krishna so nicely, I am a pauper, how do I serve Krishna? I cannot do the deity worship like him or her, so I cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. So Daksha fell prey to this mentality. The mentality that by having some material resources, by having some material abilities, by having some material intelligence, I am put in a better position in serving Lord Krishna. And because Lord Shiva doesn't have a material ability, he doesn't have a material resource, he is not capable of serving Krishna. This is what mistake Daksha did. Don't think that Daksha is a demon. Otherwise, Daksha's characteristics would not be mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. We will see in the 6th canto as we go with the 2 chapters we left, there is one section Hamsa Guhya prayers, where Daksha prays and Lord Vishnu appears. He's not a demon. He's a devotee who needs reformation. And what is exactly reformation that Sukadeva Goswami is revealing to us is the reformation that if we have a lot of material resources, then I can serve Krishna the best. But we must understand the best service to Krishna is not deity worship. The best service to Krishna is to chant his names and preach his glories, speak about his glories to others. Of all the different ways to serve Krishna, the best way to serve Krishna is to chant Krishna's holy name sincerely, attentively, and to help others, make others chant Hare Krishna. But for people to come to the stage of chanting Hare Krishna, because people are very much in a materialistic consciousness, that's why we require the elaborate deity worship to attract them. Previously, when there were Nitai Gauranga were not there, no one was coming to temple. Now, since we have beautiful deities, and then so many people come. And they come to see the beauty of the decoration and shringar. And what they get? They get Hare Krishna. They get chanting of Hare Krishna. Definitely, the darshan of the deities makes them advance in Krishna consciousness. The prasadam advances them in Krishna consciousness. But in Kali Yuga, the best way to make advancement is by chanting the holy names of the Lord. And all other whatever arrangements we are doing, we are building temples, we are having elaborate deity worship, everything is to ensure that people ultimately take to the chanting of Hare Krishna. That's the purpose. If one thinks that in ISKCON we have so much of resources now, and that's why we are able to serve Krishna, at one point of time, these resources are temporary actually. It may remain sometimes and it may not remain with us sometimes. But we should not be restricted and thinking that these resources are there, then I can serve. Whether we have any resource or no resource, we always have the opportunity to serve Krishna if in our heart we have loving sentiments and emotions for Krishna, if you want to love Krishna. So Daksha fell in trap of this mentality. The definition of Daksha is a conviction that I can serve Krishna better because I have certain material skills, abilities, and resources. Hare Krishna. And then when Daksha leaves like this, becoming angry and all those things, then Nandishwar gets up. Nandishwar is infuriated. You know Nandishwar, right? The transcendental divine bull. So Nandishwar becomes infuriated with anger. And Nandishwar says that enough, like we will read the verse so that all of you will recite the verse. Yeah, this next verse. Vigyaya sapam girisanugagrane
Vignaya sapam girisanu
Vigyaya sapam girisanugagrani.
Vignaya sapam girisanugagrani.
Nandishvara roshakasaya dushitaha.
Nandishvaro roshakasaya dushitaha.
Dakshaya sapam visasarja darunam.
Dakshaya sapam visasarja darunam.
Ye chanvamodam tadavachyatam dvija.
Ye chanvo tam tadavachyatam dvija.
Vigyaya sapam girisanugagrani. Yeah, anyone? Chant.
Vignaya shapam girishanugagne.
Nandishvara roshakasaya dusitaha.
Nandishvaro roshakashaya dushitaha.
Dakshaya sapam visasarja darunam.
Dakshaya shapam visasarja darunam.
Ye chanvamodam stadavachyatam dvija.
Ye chanvamodam tadavachyatam dvijaha.
Translation. Upon understanding that Lord Shiva had been cursed, Nandiswar, one of the Lord Shiva's principal associates, became greatly angry. His eyes became red and he prepared to curse Daksha and all the Brahmanas present there who had tolerated Daksha cursing Shiva in harsh words. Purport. There is a long-standing dissension among some of the neophyte Vaishnavas and Saivites. They are always at loggerheads. When Daksha cursed Lord Shiva in harsh words, some of the Brahmanas present might have enjoyed it because some Brahmanas do not very much admire Lord Shiva. This is due to their ignorance of Lord Shiva's position. Nandiswar was affected by cursing, but he did not follow the example of Lord Shiva, who was also present there. Although Lord Shiva could also have cursed Daksha in a similar way, he was silent and tolerant. But Nandiswar, his follower, was not tolerant. Of course, as a follower, it was right for him not to tolerate an insult to his master, but he should not have cursed the Brahmanas who were present. The entire issue was so complicated that those who were not strong enough forgot their positions, and thus cursing and counter-cursing went on in that great assembly. In other words, the material field is so unsteady that even great personalities like Nandishwar, Daksha and many of the Brahmanas present were infected by the atmosphere of anger. Hare Krishna. Everyone started cursing, counter-cursing as Daksha left the arena, and beginning with Nandishwar. So Nandishwar, he took up again water and he said, this Daksha, he thinks that he is so proud of his material ability, and he thinks by the process of physical union only you can serve Krishna. I curse Daksha because he is behaving like an animal who is simply attached to eating, sleeping and mating and defending. I curse Daksha to get a head of a goat. You know, goat is a very interesting animal. Every animal gives different sounds, but goat gives a specific sound. I hope all of you know it. Meh, meh, meh. Yeah, so Nandiswar cursed that this Daksha is keep on telling meh, 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 meh. I am great, I am great, I am great. So he should be given a head of a goat so that he can say it in a better way. And he can only say that word. He cannot say any other word. Because anyway, with as human mouth can speak so much language, so much language, so much of language, but if in human mouth we speak only the language I am great, I am great, I am great, then better you get the mouth of a goat where you can easily speak about how you are great. With this understanding, Nandiswar cursed Daksha to get the head of a goat. Hare Krishna. So here, and afterwards we will see how Nandishwar started cursing the entire Brahmana class. So here is the danger of becoming angry. Now Nandishwar definitely, as a servant, as it is his responsibility to defend Lord Shiva. But did he defend Lord Shiva? He didn't defend Lord Shiva's position. He started offending Daksha and Brahmanas. So this is the difference between seeking justice in one situation and snatching justice when you are offended. Justice is important. Sometimes if we are exploited, or our master is exploited, or our servant is exploited, our near and dear one is exploited, it is important to seek justice. But when we become angry, when we are controlled by our base emotions, we respond in a completely wrong way. Here, Nandishwar, he didn't even speak a single word to you read all the verses down the line. If you read, Nandishwar didn't speak a single one verse that how Lord Shiva is great. He just started cursing and cursing all the Brahmanas. So, seeking justice means to seek justice from explain your situation, that how it is not proper or improper. That assembly, there was Brahma. Brahma was personally present. This is all happening in front of Brahma. Brahma is actually the first man. Just like the president is first citizen of country, Brahma is the first citizen of the entire universe. He is personally present. And Nandishwar is also the citizen. And don't think Brahma doesn't have any power. Brahma is extremely powerful personality. Nandishwar knew that Brahma is there. Instead of seeing what is Brahmaji's response, what Brahma is going to do, instead of seeing what Lord Shiva is going to do, Nandishwar, started offending and snatching the process of justice from his superiors and taking the hand of, that I should seek justice myself. The problem of snatching justice and not seeking justice is that it can be very, very disproportionate and it can become very generalized. See, Daksha has done a wrong thing. Nandishwar is seeing that entire assembly was forbidding Daksha, correct? It's not that all the assembly, oh, nice, 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 nice. They were telling Daksha, remain, remain, let's solve what you are speaking. Yes, that's what the verse we read. Just the 19th verse was that. Nandishwar is seeing that. That means everyone is supporting Lord Shiva, no one is supporting Daksha. So instead of understanding this, when we are carried over by our base emotions, Nandishwar started snatching the justice and he really cursed the entire Brahmana class. He cursed Daksha. In front of Brahma, he cursed Daksha. He should have sought and asked Brahma what to do. What you should do something now. Instead of letting Brahma decide what needs to be done, he took the position and power of being the leader of the assembly. In front of the leader of the assembly, Brahma. This is the first mistake Nandishwar ji did. And the second is he generalized everything. Because Daksha is a Brahmana, let me curse all the Brahmanas who have tolerated Daksha. Who knows who tolerated, who didn't tolerate? They're put in that situation. So Daksha generalized. So when we do not seek justice, seeking justice is important if we are exploited. But if we don't seek justice, if we start snatching the justice, if we start taking everything on our head at hand, then we land up into a problem of being disproportionately angry, and sometimes we can generalize the punishment for everyone. And that's how the problem happened with Nandishwar. He cursed all the Brahmanas, he cursed Daksha, and by that, till now, the Brahmanas are suffering the curse of Nandishwar. And then the Brahmanas became, we will also show how we can curse. And the Brahmanas got up and they started cursing the followers of Lord Shiva. And till date, the followers of Lord Shiva are suffering the curses of the Brahmanas. Hare Krishna. In this way, we must understand that if someone does a mistake, it is meant to create a reformation. Cursing is never allowed, even if a person is not ready to change. If a person is not ready to change, then we can avoid one's association, but we should, as Vaishnavas, never curse anyone. If we curse anyone within our heart also, forget about words, we are not devotees of Lord Krishna. If someone is troubling us, we have all the right to remain aloof, but we have no right to curse the devotees or curse anyone, even a materialistic person. If we really want to be known as devotees of Krishna, we have to give up this mentality to do revenge, to take revenge, and take revenge by cursing someone. We should understand, okay, this person is trying to exploit me, let me avoid this person's association. And if the person's association is unavoidable, let me seek higher help so that I can help myself get out of this situation. But we have no right to curse anyone. And we will just see in the next 5 to 10 minutes what were the curses given to the Brahmanas and Lord Shiva. We will take 2 verses only, and then we will take some question answers. Okay, so this is the first, I think this is Sarva Bhaksha Dvija Bhrityai. Yeah. Dhrita Vidya Tapovrata. Vitta Dehendriya Rama. Yachaka Vicharantva Iha. These Brahmanas take to education, austerity and vows only for purpose of maintaining the body. They shall be devoid of discrimination between what to eat and what not to eat. They will acquire money begging from door to door simply for the satisfaction of the body. Hare Krishna. I think this will take little more time to elaborate the curses and its effects. So we will discuss it next class, because I am seeing it's already 7:30. We can take some question answers. If anyone has any question, please, you are free to. Anyone, any question from this class or previous classes? Anyone, because we have not taken classes for last 2 weeks.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, yes.
Yes, I think see Daksha, Brahma, the father of Daksha, he was there in the assembly also. When Daksha was using so many nonsense words towards Shiva. So Brahma should stop Daksha, why, or he should expel him from that arena. Why he did not do that in the on the first page itself?
Yeah. So, so Prabhuji is asking that why did Brahma not expel Daksha from the assembly? The first thing is that this happened so momentarily that it was very difficult to control anything. Before anything could be spoken, see, this assembly was not just like a classroom with 40 students, understand it. So this assembly, were having almost all the demigods, everyone present. And Brahma was also presiding the assembly. So this happened so momentarily that no one expected that this will happen, even not Brahma. So when it happened, then Brahma and all the major demigods, they started coming at it, don't go, let's settle, already you have done a mistake. That's what the verse we read, right, today. So, but then Daksha didn't stay back. And after that again, so much of cursing and counter cursing happened, no one was listening to Brahma, Hare Krishna. Everyone got so angry, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, that they forgot their position. They forgot their position means they forgot that Brahma is there, and they forgot everything and started cursing, counter cursing. And Brahma said, it's beyond my jurisdiction. I cannot now handle the situation. Let them curse, counter curse, they will leave. Let me continue the yajna. And that's what is mentioned. We will discuss in the next class. And the end of the chapter, Sukadeva Goswami mentions that though all this counter cursing happened, Lord Shiva's followers went away, some of the demigods and Brahmanas went away angrily, but Brahma continued the worship of Lord Vishnu. He thought that I came for worshipping Lord Vishnu, I invited all these fellows, they did all these things, so let me continue the yajna. And there Sukadeva Goswami mentions this, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, so in this way, the yajna for Vishnu should continue. Even if some demigods are doing some nuisance and all those things, Brahma didn't want to interfere into all those nuisance that they have created, because he thought that anyway they are not listening. Daksha didn't listen, so what they will listen? So let me do my bhajan. Let me do my... So what you will do? Like sometimes the father in the family, You are a father. So the boys, the girls and boys, the daughters and sons, they become old enough to take their independent decisions. So what the father does, okay, let me do my bhajan now. Now it's time to retire. I think I should take Banaprastha. So Brahma thought of why anyway they're not hearing. This person is not hearing. They're not even asking me. I am there. So for them, I don't exist. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you are not audible.
I'm not audible?
Now you are audible.
Okay. I don't know why. Okay. What did you not hear?
It's time to retire after that.
Okay, so the father will retire and take Banaprastha. So Brahma also thought that anyway these fellows, they're not hearing me. Daksha didn't hear me and they started cursing, counter cursing, and they are quite big enough. So let me focus on continuing the yajna, which is mentioned in the end of the chapter. So Brahma thought to continue the yajna and the worship of Vishnu, so that at least some auspiciousness will be created by that. And see, when someone is ready to hear, then only you can help him. But if someone is not ready to hear, is ready to take his independent decisions, you cannot. Even if you are Brahma, we have a famous saying, right? That saying comes from this story itself. We have a saying, right? You know that Brahma भी आएंगे तो उसको बदल नहीं सकते हैं. You remember this saying? So this saying comes from this story that this Brahma was sitting just vivash. He was nothing he could do, and everything happened. They all went away, and Brahma thought, let me continue my yajna. And he continued his yajna. So this is one thing to understand, one way, as mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The second way to understand is that you see.
Again, you're not audible.
Okay. Okay, let me change the microphone. Hare Krishna. Is my voice now audible?
Yes.
Okay. So there is some problem maybe. So the second thing that we have to understand, that these are all devotees. And Brahma is also very careful in dealing with Krishna's devotees. They are already doing something. So Brahma is also, see, whenever devotees quarrel, we have to be very careful in not taking sides. So Brahma is also very careful, and he's seeing all these things, that these are all devotees. The Lord Shiva's followers are also devotees of Janardhan, and Brahmanas also devotees of Krishna. That is why they have assembled for serving Vishnu. But Brahma, it happened first suddenly, unexpected for Brahma that it will happen. Second, he also didn't want to interfere because they were not ready to listen. Third, Brahma didn't want to take the sides neither of the Brahmanas, nor of Daksha's side, nor of the followers of Lord Shiva, because he saw that both have done some mistake. So he thought that let them go away. Later on, we can discuss about it and see what we can do it. Right? So in that way, because of these reasons, Brahma didn't interfere anything, because he thought that better let me continue the yajna, which is mentioned in the end of the chapter. The verse is there. Next class we will read the purport. Okay? Hare Krishna. Yes, so 3 hands are up. Maybe Tarun Prabhu, then Selja Mataji, Sabyasachi Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that, like, we know that Lord Shiva is a Shiva Tattva and he is a devotee of Lord Krishna.
Slow.
And,
Ask your questions slowly. Yeah.
Yes. So, so the demigods, do they not know that Lord Shiva's position, or they forget due to anger? What happened in this case?
Okay. See, demigods are also some sort of mixed devotees, right? So some of the demigods, they know the position of Lord Shiva. some of the demigods are envious of Lord Shiva a little bit, thinking, why they are, why Lord Shiva is. Some of the demigods are not very sure who is Lord, matlab, why he behaves like this. That's what is mentioned in the purport, right? We read that some Brahmanas were having problems with Lord Shiva and his followers, and some of the demigods were having problems. So it's not that all the demigods know everything. Many of the demigods, who are the demigods? They read Vedas, they do some yajna, and they worship Indra, and by worshipping Indra, they reach the heavenly planets. So just to reach heavenly planets doesn't mean that you become very, very advanced in knowledge, knowing all the tattvas. That's why we can understand a devotee in ISKCON knows more. How much he follows, it's a big question, but he knows more. He has more information than even great demigods. So the information that we have definitely is greater. The demigods have certain amount of information about Lord Shiva, but sometimes people even have the right information, they still have dissensions because they're not pure devotees, right? And Lord Shiva's activities are very, very difficult to digest. Very difficult to digest. If Lord Shiva comes to you and you see Lord Shiva, it's very difficult to think that, oh, Hare Krishna, very, very difficult, very difficult. Don't think, it's good that Lord Shiva doesn't give us darshan. It's very difficult to see his activities and consider him as a great personality. So the demigods, all the things, whatever you said is correct. One is that some of them know and are a little bit having problems. Some of them don't know. So everything is possible, right? Hare Krishna. Yes, Sarja Mataji and then Sabyasachi Prabhu. Yeah.
Prabhuji, my question is like, how can we apply this in our life? Like, when Daksha was cursing Lord Shiva in front of so many people, and Lord Shiva was so calm, composed. So this is very difficult.
Okay.
To say it is okay, but when it comes to us, we will, जैसे नंदीश्वर काउंटर, मैं दो चीज पूछूंगी. एक तो लॉर्ड शिवा कैसे वो चीज को वो करे, मतलब वो तो भगवान है, लेकिन हम कैसे उस चीज को टॉलरेट करना सीख सकते हैं, पहला चीज. और दूसरा, जब हमारे स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर को कोई इस तरीके से बोले, तो हम कैसे उसको बर्दाश्त करें? Because नंदीश्वर cannot tolerate anything against it.
Okay. So the first thing is that how to tolerate. So we should not tolerate beyond our realization. Otherwise, we'll become like a pressure cooker. The pressure cooker tolerates, and then blasts. So we should not tolerate beyond our realizations. If we are not able to tolerate, we have always opportunity to express it to the right sources. And the right source was there, as Brahma was the right source. Nandisur could have informed Brahma that what you are doing, what Ajay Prabhu asked, that is what Nandisur should have asked Brahma. What you are doing, we should do something. And he should have spoken to Brahma and all the assembly. These are all false. Lord Shiva is such a great personality. All the explanations that Biswanath Chakravarti Thakur gives about glorifying Lord Shiva in the purport, this is what Nandishwar should have done and spoken to the assembly. So instead of doing a positive appreciation of his spiritual master, he started cursing. And in a place where the supreme justice person, Brahmaji, is there, right? So first answer is we should not tolerate beyond our realization. We should tolerate within the purview of our realization. And if it is becoming intolerable, we should express it to the right sources that it is becoming intolerable. First thing. Second, we should never try to snatch justice. We should always seek justice from the right sources. If yes, it is right that Nandishwar should do something, but should do something doesn't mean that start cursing. Should do something means first appreciate and establish the position of the spiritual master, establish the position of Lord Shiva. He didn't establish the position of Lord Shiva. He tried condemning the position of Daksha and Brahmanas. What he will achieve by that? So, if we in front of our eyes, we see our spiritual masters and our others are being offended like this, because there are envious people around, so we should not try to become envious to the envious people. Rather, we should try to establish the position of our spiritual master. That's where Nandishwar made a mistake. Reaction of Nandishwar is proper. Anger of Nandishwar is proper. But the way he reacted to his anger and responded to the situation is improper. He didn't establish the position of Lord Shiva. He condemned the position of Daksha and Brahmanas. Rather, that thing should have been given to Brahma. He should have first established the position of Lord Shiva and then sought justice from Brahma. You see, this is position of Lord Shiva. This is what the Brahmanas are telling. What is your take? Brahma, you are the leader of the assembly. You have invited all of us. And you decide what needs to be done. We want some justice. We want that this Brahmana and Daksha should be informed about it, given some punishment about it. How can he curse? But they didn't do like that. And that is how we should behave in a situation like this. We should try to establish the position of the spiritual master instead of trying to unnecessarily become envious to those who are envious. We cannot, in this world, this world is soaked with envy. You know, sometimes we take a sponge and you put it in a water, how the sponge completely fills with water. So exactly in this whole world is soaked with envy. So we should not behave inimically to those who are envious to us. And we should respond in the right way. But it is also an injunction not to tolerate the offenses to the spiritual master. But how to respond is by establishing the position of the spiritual master. Not to just offend like this. Okay? So we need not have to offend, become angry and do all this what they did. Yes. Sabyasachi Prabhu. Then I hope that answers your question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
In fact, wonderful class on the intricacies that exist in different segments of Bhagavatam. So, in the fourth one, 2.19, we talk about three things which are maybe detrimental for devotional service: lust, anger, and passion, being in the mode of passion. The same thing maybe is mentioned in Nectar Instructions, verse number 3, that the structure of Utsaha Nikshaya. So, Utsaha is enthusiastic. And now coming back to this passion, maybe should we interpret the passion for self and passion for devotional service? Do we can interpret in these two contradictions?
Okay.
Because these six principles are good for bhaktis. That being interested in being passionate is also one factor which can be maybe instrumental, or maybe it can propel us to be in the devotional service.
Yeah. Okay. So, so this passion that is being mentioned is passion for material acquisitions. And passion in devotional service. We need to have certain enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, as mentioned in Nectar of Instruction, is looks like passion. Like sometimes a devotee is very, very passionate to do something for Krishna, very enthusiastic. We will do like this, we will do like this. Like we see Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they wanted to do this for Prabhupada, that for Prabhupada. It sometimes looks exactly like passion, but it is not passion, provided it is done out of love for Krishna, love for the spiritual master. But we should see that it doesn't affect others. Like for example, Srila Prabhupada saw one time that his disciples brought so many flowers. And Srila Prabhupada asked, "Arey, how come so many flowers? Our garden doesn't have these flowers. How these flowers came?" Now, Prabhupada, we got it from others' gardens. Prabhupada said, "How can you get it from others' garden?" They said, "Prabhupada, this is Krishna's property. Everything is Krishna's property." Prabhupada said, everything is Krishna's property, but this is under someone's care. Nah, this is under someone's care and we are under Krishna and this is Krishna's property, so we can take it. Prabhupada said, "You have stole it." No, Prabhupada, this is Krishna's property. We didn't steal it. We just are offering it to Krishna. So, though passion is important, enthusiasm to serve Krishna and spiritual master is important and it is nice, but we should see that we follow the moral and legal codes of conduct as a civilized human being, and within that boundary of being a civilized legal moral codes of conduct, whatever service we can offer to Krishna, then it is fine. But if our passion or enthusiasm prohibits us from following the rules and regulations of general codes of conduct, the moral and ethical codes of conduct, and it disturbs others, then we should curb our passion and reduce it. Like for example, another example I would give in the life of Srila Prabhupada, that His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, he said that, "Prabhupada, I will start a book distribution bus party." So he made special bus called the Radha Damodar bus party. He kept Radha Damodar and the bus would go to different colleges, different cities and distribute millions and millions of Srila Prabhupada's books. So these devotees who were in the party of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, they would do, imagine they would come to Calcutta near New Town. So they would go to ISKCON New Town and they would say, "You fellows are simply staying in this temple. You are doing nothing. You are increasing your belly by taking Mahaprasad of Nitai Gauranga. The only way to please Srila Prabhupada is to distribute books. Join us. Come us. Don't increase your weight by eating Mahaprasad here." So all the devotees would become so fiery that they would leave temple and get into the bus and leave. And like that, practically all the temples were becoming vacant. And all the temple presidents, all the managers of the temple started complaining against His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj that, "What is this Radha Damodar bus party? Our temples are empty. Who will do the worship? Who will do the cooking?" And then Prabhupada called and said, "Tamal, close this Radha Damodar bus party." And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, "Prabhupada, if you do like this, I will go to China." And then he left. And the next day, Prabhupada says that, "Call Tamal." And Tamal Krishna Maharaj says, I will not go because I know Prabhupada will tell me to go to China, because China we are not preaching. and Tamal Krishna Maharaj came and said, no Prabhupada, I am not going to go to China. I will do some other service. No problem. I don't want Radha Damodar bus party. I don't want anything. I will not go to China. Prabhupada said, you said, and it's Krishna's direction, you must go to China. Hare Krishna. So enthusiasm is good, but if our enthusiasm troubles sometimes other devotees, then we must try to redirect the enthusiasm in a different way. That's what we see in the example in the life of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. They were sometimes very enthusiastic, but Prabhupada would channelize their enthusiasm and passion in a way that it doesn't affect other people and it doesn't affect even other devotees. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj went to China, and whatever devotees we have in China is because of the hard endeavors of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki jai. One day we would give an entire class on the life and teachings of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I think his disappearance day has just gone recently in March itself. I think it would come. He had come for GBC meetings in Mayapur, and then while going from Mayapur to Calcutta on the way, he met with an accident, car accident, and he left the spiritual world. So, but we would tell about, there is a book called Servant of the Servant. I recommend everyone to read that book. Anyone who wants enthusiasm in devotional service, you must read this book, Servant of the Servant. It's a very nice book by His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Yes, Vijay Prabhu and then Udit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandapam.
Yeah.
How do we get out of this Daksha mentality, the definition that you have given? How do we come out?
Yeah, so how do we come out? You are not there only. Why you are so much interested to come out? Yeah. So in material world, it's sometimes quite inevitable to see that how we have this mentality that through material abilities I can serve Krishna and everything. And only by having some material abilities only I can serve Krishna. So the first thing we need to understand to come out of this mentality is to analyze who all have Krishna given best of their mercy. The gopis, who are uneducated village girls, have nothing. The sannyasis and people who have nothing. The paupers in the street. So by reading the stories of Krishna, how people who had nothing pleased Krishna to such an extent that Krishna gave them such mercy which were not given to many of the personalities who had so much. Plus, we see the pastime story where Krishna rejects to eat in Duryodhana's house, right? So when we read and understand the stories of Krishna, we understand how Krishna is pleased. And that helps us to get rid of the mentality that through material resources I can please Krishna. Because if through material resources you can please Krishna, Duryodhana could have easily pleased Krishna. But he could not. And second, we see that the story where Krishna is going to Mithila and there is Bahulashva and Shrutadev. And Shrutadev is a completely poverty-stricken Brahmana. He doesn't have a cushion also to make Krishna sit in his home. He just put his uttari, you have this uttari, and he folded it and put it, made it an ashan, and Krishna sat over it. And Bahulasha was the king of Mithila. He was the Janak at that time. He served Krishna elaborately. And Krishna was pleased with both of them. So to get rid of the mentality, we need to understand that Krishna is not attracted by resources. Krishna is attracted by the loving reciprocations. Krishna is attracted by loving praise. So that will help us to understand this when we read the pastimes of Krishna, when we understand the heart of Krishna. Otherwise, there is no other way. And if we have material abilities, we should, second thing I would tell, please hear attentively. If we have material abilities, instead of using the material abilities for serving Krishna, we facilitate our material abilities in helping others to serve Krishna. That will help us to get purified of all our material skills. Like I have seen so many, when my spiritual master takes yatra, there are so many devotees who could not go for yatra because they have financial concerns. And so many wealthy devotees, they facilitate and sponsor the yatra for all these devotees. So when we have certain material abilities, instead of I will use these material abilities to do my devotional service in a better way. I will build a gorgeous temple. So instead of you building a gorgeous temple, you purchase 100 altars and distribute 100 altars, small altars, to 100 devotees who do not have money to purchase an altar. And that will help you to understand that I am so dependent on the prayers of these Vaishnavas who have nothing. If these Vaishnavas whom I am giving altar, they worship and I pray to them, while worshipping, please keep me in your prayers, then only something will happen to this person who is so wealthy and so attached to wealth, money and resources of the material world. So the first one is to understand that how Krishna is affected by devotion, is not affected by the resources and the way we express our devotion through material resources. And the second way, if at all we have material resources, if we try to use those material resources for facilitating the devotional service of others, then we will develop that humility with begging that I want to facilitate your devotional service, you please pray for me to Krishna. That is the only hope I have. Then I can go back to Godhead. So that will make us humble, because that will make us understand that only by facilitating and making devotees happy, I can advance in Krishna consciousness. Not by serving Krishna. There is a special verse in Chaitanya Bhagavat. I will read now. I was reading. I will just, let me open my, okay. Yeah. So this is spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just give me a time. Yeah. I don't know, this is mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat. This is Chaitanya Bhagavat. This is Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya Leela, chapter 6, text 97. I repeat, Chaitanya Bhagavat, not Chaitanya Charitamrit, Chaitanya Bhagavat, chapter 6, Antya Leela, chapter 6, text 97. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking to a Brahmana. All of you repeat after me. Siddhir bhavati vaneti. Okay, can I If you give me 1 minute, I can open this also in my database. Just give me 1 minute, so that if we open it, okay, what happened? Yeah, just 1 minute. Hare Krishna, because I really want that all of you read this verse. So I'll just open this verse, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya writings of the past acharyas, writing of other acharyas. Then there is just 1 minute. Where is Chaitanya Bhagavat? Yeah, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya Leela, chapter 6, text 97. Yeah, now it's open. Okay, let me share it with all of you. Yeah. So this is what I was reading. So this is Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antyakhanda 697. All of you read this verse, very nice verse. Siddhir bhavati vaneti.
Siddhir bhavati vani.
Siddhir bhavati vaneti.
Siddhir bhavati vanisi.
Samsayo achyuta sevinam.
Samsayo achyuta sevinam.
Nisamsayastu tad bhakta.
Nisamsayastu tad bhakta.
Paricharya ratatmanam.
Paricharya ratatmanam.
Siddhir bhavati vaneti. Yeah, anyone else?
Siddhir bhavati vaneti.
Samsayo achyuta sevinam.
Samsayo achyuta sevinam.
Nisamsayastu tad bhakta.
Nisaya samsuta tad bhakta.
Paricharya ratatmanam.
Paricharya ratatmanam.
There is doubt whether or not the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will attain perfection. But there is absolutely no doubt that those who are attached to serving his devotees will attain perfection. Hare Krishna. I explain again. There is a doubt whether or not the servants of Personality of Godhead will attain perfection. But there is absolutely no doubt that those who are attached to serving his devotees will attain perfection. Moro bhakta na puje amare puje matra.
Mora bhakta na puje amare puje matra.
Sedambhika nahe mora prasadera patra.
Sedambhika nahi mora prasadera patra.
One who simply worships me but does not worship my devotee is proud. He is not qualified for my mercy. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking to a Brahmana in Chaitanya Bhagavat here, telling that it may be, if we have a lot of resources and we try serving Lord very gorgeously, there is a doubt that we will attain perfection. But if we have some resources and we help others to serve with those resources, Krishna, then our perfection will be unrivaled, or we will definitely attain perfection. Okay? So, really want to serve Krishna or serve Krishna's devotees? Okay, so we are going to Rishikesh, and please come. Veer Narasimha Prabhu is in Rishikesh trying to find out accommodation for all of us with Karan Prabhu. So please come to Rishikesh. Our yatras are an opportunity so that all our family members can come together and we can really serve each other and really experience devotional service and advancement by serving each other. So you are all welcome to Rishikesh. Hare Krishna. Yes, Udit Prabhu, and we'll end.
No problem. My question got answered. My question was that the Daksha mentality is that conviction I can serve due to my ability and resources, but on the other way around, if I think, okay, how can I better serve due to my ability and resources? So I think you have already answered.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Daksha Prabhu ki jai, Nandishwar ki jai, Shri Shankar Bhagwan ki jai, Sukdev Goswami Parikshit Maharaj ki jai, Samavet Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Dasosmi family ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpataru vesha kripa sindhu vyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Om.